Hello, my name is Mr. D, and welcome back to another video tutorial on using Edpuzzle. This is a continuation from our last video, which the last video was on using Edpuzzle with YouTube. Now we're going to take that directly from there. We just made the video, and we're going to assign it to students. So we're going to look at those features. Okay, so we're going to go to Assign. And here I have a list of courses. We're not going to use that. Actually, I'm not sure why that's still there, but I'm going to show you all these things you can do with it. So in this case, we're going to use a due date. Let's say make this March, I don't know, 25th. That's when we're supposed to be getting back. And from there, we're going to also look at the different options. So preventing skipping. I've used this in the past. If you notice, the little I over here will tell you more about it. If checked, students won't be able to skip ahead. I use that typically when I put up a video and I don't want students to skip to the end. Um, I'm going to take that off for this one because I'm going to skip to the end. I'm going to use it, but I typically leave it on. And I typically leave it on so I want the students to hear or work through the lesson that I've shown them. So turning on CCs, that's closed captioning. I don't usually use it, but you can if you'd like. So let's add a new class. Everything else is done over here. I'm not preventing skipping, and I'm not having closed captioning on. I'm going to add a new class because I haven't made one yet. So new class 2, just because I have a new class 1 already. So that's new class here, and now that's the title. You have to have that, and what you can do here is classic or open. Open, having any student to really use your class. I typically don't do that because I use my Edpuzzle for a gradebook. And if you notice here, store your students' progress across all the videos in one place. That is such a fantastic piece because a lot of it, especially if you're using multiple choice grading, like questions, it automatically grades it for you. So we could do that. I just want to show you over here. If you do the import class option, you can grab a Google Classroom class, and I will show that in just a moment to see what that looks like. Okay, so we add a new class. Oh, I have to write it again. New class 2, and say create class. So now that's here. You can assign it all or assign manually to certain students that you're like, hey, you need to work on this, right? Specifically. You can make this tailored as much as you want. All right, so I'm going to say assign. Let's just do that. Okay. Now it's there. Now I don't have any students. So what I'm going to do here is actually share the assignment to students. If you share, you can provide students with a link. Now, you don't have to do it this way. I normally set up my students in the class before I do this. Not a big deal. But if I did it this way, I copy it. And now I'm going to add a new tab, take it, and see what happens. All right. So if I take this, right, I play it. I highly suggest doing this. No, I'm not going to play it all the way because if I click the mute button, I think I ran into a few glitches already, but changing the audio loses the option of changing your audio. So I'm not going to touch it. You know, not all software is always perfect. Okay. So I'm just going to skip ahead though. This is what your students could do essentially if you let them. Okay, so I skipped ahead to the note. I click the note, checking in, skip. Oh, actually, next question is the next part. What department is Mr. D in? So I click that, submit. Okay, next question. Great, and it let me know I got 100% out of that. Continue. For more flexibility to create our lessons. All right, so that's the setup. Okay, so now I'm going to jump to this one. Again, you can try and I don't know if it's letting me actually move it. It looks like I can just only click here. Interesting. Oh no, it moved it. Okay, it just didn't show it for some reason. And which is okay. So now I'm going to pause it again. I'm going to jump to this question. That's just a second note. That's all it is. All right, continue. In terms of so now let's say that was your student doing this, right? Now they're done. They decide they have nothing like, hey, I answered all the questions, Mr. D. I'm out of here. What's nice about this, and I believe this is the case. So hang on. Let me just double check this. If I now go to here, this was back to my profile. Okay, escape this. I should, if I refresh this, see that someone's taken it. I like that as that's me. I never did that before. But notice here, it has all this data already on me that I've just taken. So first off, let's look at what this is. It's not turned in. In this case, turning in means you have to watch it all the way to the end. So I'm going to turn it in. Basically, try to be on the same page, but also for those of us who aren't as, yeah, like I can't mute it. I'm afraid if I touch this, it's going to disappear on me again. I guess I can just, I'll just do it. Yeah, see, I don't know why it's doing that. All right, but now I don't hear it. So I'm going to let that play in the background. What I was going to say was, notice it's not turned in. Turned in means you have to watch to the end of the video. Okay, so that's a big difference. We'll go into what options you have with the student, but let's say look at the student. I click them. That's me. Here we have the grade, the percentage of the video watched, right? It shows where I got the answer correct, and it actually says how many times you watched it. And notice I didn't watch any of these segments fully. Like I didn't spend 0 to 33 seconds watching the video. And you guys just saw that. So that's why that's coming up. Now, there's only one question in this area that I'm actually grading, which is this. Now, note, what if I disagreed with, I made an error? I can just say that that's a 0 and just say, oh, that was actually not the right one. But let's say it's correct, right? And say I leave a comment. You can also do that too to give feedback. Great work, Mr. D. And you leave a comment. Now that comment's there for the student to get that feedback. But that is automatically there. And if I actually go to Gradebook, new class, why isn't it here? Students, click on my classes, invite your students. So apparently you won't get students here until you actually invite them to the class. Okay. So let's go to my classes and I'll show you how to do that. So when I go to my classes, we're at new class 2. And here, that's the one we're looking at here. I'm going to invite students in, and this is what they need to use to put in. And notice, even with all this information, like there's so many different ways. You have email, you have a link, you have a class code, you have different ways of doing it. No matter what, copy link. Sorry, I'm trying to get out of here. There we go. No matter what, this information is given to the students that they can use. So these are assignments that have due dates, no students without due dates, and students. Currently, I'm not in this one yet. Okay, so you can invite the students and then lock it down later. So I'm going to quickly show an example of one that I've looked at before. So to look at grading, we're going to look at 2 different options. We're going to look at one, what does it look like when you have grades to get, right? Or give. In this case, here you'll notice there's a little red dot next to pre-calc e-block 19_20. If I click this, it says which ones are due and 24 new answers to this. So if I click this one here, it shows that the students have watched them, what percentage, right? And it shows the questions. Now, it doesn't come off always great in terms of the choices. Notice here these aren't great in terms of the way it displays it to you. And that's just the way it displays it. It doesn't actually look like that for students. So there is a lot of information here already that in this case, actually this one didn't do so well in terms of, let's see, when in doing this, there were apparently, there was an error in the answer key, which again, not a big deal for that one. What I want to show you here is what it looks like when you have a lot of good feedback from it, okay? So this one here, this was permutations and combinations, and here are my students here listing, and notice all these are already graded, and it's from these questions. So, like I said, this is a much better way of looking at it. The formatting for that one wasn't great. So the multiple choice question was an answer to A, which is in the video there was a choice A. So which one? And they had to pick which one. So 14 out of 14 got this one right. This is the multiple choice. What's the answer to B? And now in this case, I was trying to be a little bit lazy that I used the video and I said, there's part A to the question, so just refer to that. This is part B, refer to that. And here we have the correct answer choice and these 2 wrong ones, and notice 13 out of 14 got it right. If I want to see who that was, I look at it and see which wrong answer were picked how often at the time and which students, and it shows which student was associated with that, and which one picked this one, and so on and so forth. Okay, and you can see that for all of them. So, but all these are automatically graded. Here, this one refers to what other students also got this one wrong. So 11 out of 14 got this one right. So I look at this one here, and this is our, this was supposed to represent, N, PR, and CR, and what is R here in the number of rounds is the correct answer. And some students put the total number of set, and these are like I call trap answers that I made for this, and some of them fell forward, some of them didn't. And this just lets me know, okay, where are they in their mind on like working on this. Now, we'll come back to that in just a moment. And I also had an open-ended question. This was where, the students could write something about, to me directly. I had this because I was going on paternity leave and wanted to have a little bit of a, this is what we're doing on the way out of this class and like something to end the class with. I thought it was kind of cute. So let's look at the students. So if we look at the students here, we have a few students who got 80s. Some of them, one of them got a 40%. And you could take these grades directly, and we'll look at that as a grade book in just a moment. But let's look at, hey, well, how did, Allie do with this? So we see these numbers here at the top, these ones represent how many times the student watched each section. And here represents where they got an error, right? So here we have number of responses 2 out of 5, and we also had time spent on the video, okay? So here we go down. We can see here their answer choice, 0 out of 100. You can change that if you'd like. So it doesn't always have to be a direct 0 if you'd like. Yeah, it's just an automatic grading system. And you can also see what they chose, which is really important. Okay, so this is all those answers. A lot of good data. So let's look at another student who doesn't have that same data. Let's look at Chris here. Chris here, if you notice, he got an 80%. He got one of the last questions wrong, but we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But notice it also has a 2 here, so he watched this one 2 times. But here, this is the interesting portion to say, hey, he watched this one 3 to 4 times, which means to say, what if, there was some part of the video he had trouble with, right? So that was what that entails to me. It also says he spent 20 minutes in the video more than, almost double the amount of time that he needed to, right? So here he got the common ratio wrong, this one wrong, and you could talk about that and make a comment. Essentially, what could have also happened is he could have seen he had gotten an incorrect answer and immediately started rewatching it. That is also a scenario, and that's something I possibly would start the next class and go, "Hey, Chris, what did you end up doing in terms of watching this video, rewatching?" And you can have that. You can start to have that conversation. Okay. So just because the video is getting a little bit long, I'm going to quickly move over to Gradebook. And now Gradebook, if we look at here, let's look at this one was for eBlock. Okay. In this case, we're looking at, why is the start date here? Let's go back even further. So this is picking the range of your, I'm going to go December 5th, save. And notice how more of them are showing up now. And you can quickly look at the grades that the kids are getting, and that's really important. So I'm going to grab another class. Let's use A block, December 5th. So this was from last year. I don't know if I can. Don't know if I can. Can I change that? Quickly clicking through the year. Let's go. Yeah, let's go December. And sure, to today. I don't care. And look at all this information's there. This was the grade book from that class. And now you'll see some zeros here. That's mostly because the student left the class and I didn't edit it. But what's really important is I have all this information here. It comes out to a grade for all these kids as their total, but I can also export the grade book as an Excel spreadsheet. So I open that up. And I can use this, which is really handy for me because I like using Excel as a gradebook. I have my own gradebook personally, so I'm going to close that. Whoop, get out of here. And so that is one way of using the gradebook. I love this functionality, really helpful. And if you see these little red timers, that's saying that they were late. That's really helpful too. Okay. So I hope this has helped you for the gradebook. Let me know if you have any questions about it. Feel free to leave a comment or reach out to me directly with a DM. Uh, Otherwise, yeah, that's what we have for classes. Stay tuned. We're going to make another video on how to edit someone's Edpuzzle video and go through that. All right. So thank you for joining me and have a great evening.